I'm Brendan Smith, and welcome to the Dad Having a Crack podcast for everyday, relatable dads giving life a red-hot go. This podcast dives into honest conversations with real blokes, juggling the highs and lows of life, fatherhood, work, and everything in between. We chat about family, fitness, hobbies, passions, mental health, and those moments we don't always want to talk about. From epic fails to unexpected wins. No filters, just everyday dads sharing stories, swapping laughs, and reminding each other that having a crack is what it's all about. Welcome to episode 5 of the Dad Having a Crack podcast with a very good friend of mine, Darren O'Conner. Welcome, Darren.
G'day, Brendan. Great to be here and great initiative. I think this is something that dads really need to hear and be part of.
No, excellent. Thanks. And I thought it was only appropriate that you were you're definitely in my top 5 guests, given we've known each other for close to 15 years now because of our daughters, basically. So
Jeez, it's been that long.
Nearly 15 years, yep. So met part of Mother's Group through our wives and our firstborn. And, it's been an absolute pleasure to share that journey with you. But to throw a bit more out there in terms of you,
Right.
father of 2.
Correct.
Logistics expert.
Well, logistics.
Yes. Grew up far North Queensland.
That's correct.
Son of a pig farmer.
Little town called Rolling Stone in North
Nice.
Queensland.
Yep. And rugby league man.
Very deep rugby league man. Go the Cowboys.
Go the Cowboys. And time in the army.
Yes, a couple of years in the Army, actually 18 months in the Army. I was medically discharged from Duntroon.
Yep.
Blew my ankle 2 weeks before graduation.
And president of junior basketball team. Basketball club, the Stars.
Basketball club, the Stars Basketball Club. 26 teams, 60% female.
Excellent. Have I missed anything?
Oh, look, I think that'll get us started.
It's a fair bio.
It is fair, absolutely.
Great to have you here, mate. And, like I said, it's been a pleasure so far spending some time with you as part of fatherhood.
Yep.
And watching your beautiful kids develop. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty that we can get out of this and others can get out of it. So to kick it off, I thought I'd just ask you, what's something about you or your life that people are going to want to stick around and hear about?
My mother was diagnosed with cancer about the year 2000. Was told that she'd live for another 5 years.
Yep.
She lived for another 20. But when she was diagnosed, I knew I was never smart enough to help her.
Right.
So I dedicated my life to making sure I can help others.
Okay. And how do you go about that?
Well, you said logistics expert.
Yep.
Logistics is my area of expertise.
Yep.
And I focus on working in healthcare, medical devices, pharmaceutical products, and making sure that people who needed that medication would get it.
Yeah. Mate, honourable cause. And I know your dad as well has been absolutely committed to the Cancer Council.
Yes.
I'm sure we're going to learn a little bit more about that whole journey as part of the last 20-odd years, 25 years. And I know you're absolutely devastated when your mum passed, and I know that you really took that pretty hard, and you obviously miss her a lot. But your dad has done some amazing things in terms of supporting the Cancer Council. Did you want to just touch on that now?
Yeah, so my father, commonly known as Daffy Dennis, is a very large collector for Queensland Cancer Foundation. He's known as Daffy Dennis. Every Daffodil Day he gets dressed up in a yellow suit and he's out there in front of the shopping centre selling daffodils. I think it's for the last 4 years he has consecutively been the greatest collector of donations in Queensland.
Unbelievable.
As a single person. So he's very dedicated to it.
Yeah, well, special guy.
He is.
We might touch on your dad a little bit a bit more shortly. But mate, that's unbelievable in terms of what you've dedicated yourself to, and obviously, like I said, your mother has meant a huge amount to you, and so hats off to you. And we'll learn about your logistics journey a bit more, as well as how that drive behind it that you've just spoken about. That's Thanks for sharing that, mate. Your favourite family holiday destination, or one you've been on.
Yeah, so we're a family that doesn't frequent one location.
Yep.
Both my partner and I have been avid travellers for a long time. So what we're trying to do is take the kids to places that they've never been before and may choose to go back to one day. I think Hawaii probably is up there at the moment as our most favoured places.
Yeah.
Mainly because we did go off the map a little bit. We went to Maui and stayed close by the beach, not in a resort, but basically allowed ourselves to immerse ourselves in the local area. Not necessarily as tourists, but wanting to see what was going on.
What was the most impressive, or the most I suppose impactful thing that you saw by going and immersing yourself a little more?
Yeah, I think it was. It actually had little to do with the people, but more about the environment.
Yeah.
We had a unique opportunity to take the kids snorkeling.
Yeah.
In the outer ocean, and on the way back from this particular location, the boat stopped in the middle of the ocean, and the water was a deep blue.
Wow.
The sort of thing that you look down and think, there's no way that I'm going to get in there because I don't know what's down there. But my daughter led the way and I followed her. So we both jumped into the water and could see for as far as we could see.
Was it still pretty warm?
It was. It was very. I think we went. It was in October, so we were moving into winter.
Yeah.
In their season, but tropics. It was still beautiful.
Yeah. And how did you feel, sort of knowing you were out in the abyss and you couldn't really see or feel anything?
I was absolutely terrified to begin with, but in watching my daughter having so much fun, I figured, well, let's look on the fun side of this.
So this was, because we spoke about this, because effectively, we ended up following you not too long after through, my dad's 70th. That was his big thing he wanted to tick off, was take us to Hawaii, and I know we spoke about some of the must dos, and I wasn't aware of this story though around the swimming in the abyss with your daughter, but whereabouts was that, and what was what was it about what she was doing that just inspired you, I suppose?
Yeah. So it was immediately off Maui. You had this boat trip, went for about 3 hours. So we were far offshore. And the dive site itself was a non-active volcano. And it was actually on the way back that we stopped in this deep water. Yeah. And we stopped for lunch. The sea was getting a bit wavy, I guess. So that was why the decision was to stop for lunch. And my son wasn't handling the journey too well. He was getting a bit seasick.
Yeah.
So the crew did say, look, if we stop for lunch, you're welcome to jump overboard and have a bit of a swim around. And I think it was my daughter's motivation to jump in the water that made me want to follow her.
Yeah, right.
Not out of concern of what might be in the depths of the water, not that I could protect her from them.
Yep.
But I guess it was more I wanted to have that experience with her.
Yeah, great.
And I'm, I've done a lot of diving previously, and this was just free snorkeling, but had never been in that kind of environment before.
And did you push yourself down? Like, how did you sort of free dive
I did.
a little bit?
I did actually. I actually grabbed a weight belt.
Yeah, right.
to see how far down I could go. It took me a little while to build up that courage.
Yeah.
But my daughter was egging me on, so I figured we've got to give this a crack.
Nice work. That's awesome. What a great memory.
It's good.
So Hawaii, we'll put that at the top of the list.
Look, it's difficult to put things at the top of the list, but there are many great places. We went to Japan at the start of this year, and that was phenomenal.
Yeah, awesome.
The next trip, I think, will be a European tour, but we've still got a plan for that.
No, excellent. I look forward to catching up on that when you lock it in and get back. I know you're a big rock man. What's your favourite band, music?
I'm so fluid with my music, Brendan, but right now, It's AC/DC. And yes, I've got tickets for the Melbourne concert in November, and I'm dragging the family with me.
Excellent.
Because I want them to have that experience, because I do think this will be their last tour.
Yeah.
And, it's a great rock band.
Yeah. Just ageless.
Correct.
Great history. Yeah. It's hard to not listen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No. And other than the Dad Having a Crack podcast, which I know you've provided some very, very encouraging feedback on, and I thank you for that. And you've listened to them all, so appreciate that. Any other podcasts you're listening to?
I do listen to the Barefooted Investor.
Yeah.
Particularly his areas around raising child wealth, so getting your kids into collecting pocket money and that sort of thing. I'm a late adopter of podcasts for things like, let's call it self-help or mental wellness. I'm a very big book reader. And throughout my life, I guess the management inspirations and the philosophical inspirations have come from books.
Yeah, awesome. Favorite author?
It would have to be the one on your bookshelf, which is Jim Collins' Good to Great.
There you go.
Yep.
Excellent. Well managed, well staged. Had no idea. That's awesome. All right, we might get back into a couple other, a little bit more about yourself in terms of life before kids and bit of your history. And I mentioned you grew up in North Queensland and grew up in rural Queensland, primary producing, if you will. How did you find that?
Yeah, look, it was the best time of my life growing up on a farm. You learn so many life skills from that sort of thing, and the kids are absolutely tired of me saying, well, when I was a boy. But, it gave me great grounding watching my mum and dad work 7 days a week, all day.
Yep.
And it really helped me understand that concept of hard work and the benefits that come for that.
Yep.
But having said that, I couldn't have got out of there quicker. My parents sent me off to boarding school, and then when I came back at the end of that, I went to university in Toowoomba.
Yep.
So, from one end of the state to the other. But I've always been attracted to going back home. My whole family is still in Townsville.
Yeah.
I guess I was one of the first from the entire family to leave the area.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It is, and a lot of my family is still there, and they're having a great time, and they're wonderful people.
Yep.
For me, I had to move on and go to the big city lights of Brisbane. But the upbringing on the farm, I think, is critical to who I am today.
Yeah. Farm life is just, having not experienced it, but listening to your stories and just seeing how hard through other people's, sort of experiences, you look at drought, flood, the uncertainty, other impacts, that some are living out at the moment that are outside of their control. But, it clearly is tough. And it requires hard work all the time.
It does, and this is back. Thankfully, we've changed over time, and we do live in a better place. But in the times of cyclones and fire, you were on your own. There was no help coming. There was no government bailout. You had to manage through the day that was put in front of you. But we are in a better place. We're in a better world now. I think it's just important that we shouldn't forget where we've all come from. And how that enables us to be the people that we can be.
And what was the thing that you spent your time most doing that you think has had the biggest influence on you growing up there in that period of time?
Yeah, I think it was my mother and father providing me with the opportunity to make my own decisions.
Yeah, right.
So, for example, Dad would say on the farm, "Rightio, Darren, here's some fencing wire, some posts, go and fix that fence line." It wasn't okay, come along, Darren, I'm going to show you how to do this and we'll work on it together and we'll build the fence line. It was go and work it out.
Yep.
And we'll see you back here at sunset.
And
the cows got out.
the cows got out. But you had a crack.
But I had a crack. But, you know, it was that empowerment.
Yep.
And you learn from your mistakes. And,
Yep.
you know, this is what I'm bringing to my kids today.
Yep.
It's okay to make mistakes. It's not something to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
You've got to make those mistakes to learn.
Well, that was something I was going to ask you, actually. What was probably the biggest takeaway from your dad that you're now trying to instill in your family, in your children?
Yeah. Look, to catch a phrase, give it a crack.
Yeah.
That's what my dad would say to me. It's just give it a go, Darren. It's actually called me Phil by my middle name, Philip. In fact, I can't remember the last time he called me Darren, but it's have a crack, Phil. You know, go in, have a go, give it your best shot.
Yep. And when did you make the move to boarding school? Was that what age were you then?
I was in the Queensland education system. I was moving into year 8.
Yep.
So I was becoming 13.
Yeah.
Going into boarding school, I actually had a pretty good introduction because I had 2 elder brothers there.
Yeah. Okay.
One in grade 12 and one in grade 11. So, yeah, you could probably say to a degree, I was untouchable. But, you know, I didn't use that as a means to get my own way.
Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoyed boarding school. It was, again, probably some of the best memories of my life. In fact, of my year 12 graduating class, there's 5 of us now living in Melbourne out of about 25.
Yeah, wow. So while you're there, and you know, obviously your parents aren't around, but their ethos of just having a go would have been ringing true.
Oh, absolutely. But I think from a Christian Brothers philosophy, who ran the school, it was give it a go or else.
Yeah, yeah, right. Okay, fair enough. The time you moved down to Brisbane, how'd you find that? Obviously coming from boarding school and then the big smoke, if you will, back then in Bris Vegas.
Yeah. So originally it was to Toowoomba to go to university, but we frequented Brisbane, the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast quite regularly. But I went to university not knowing anyone, and I did that deliberately.
Yeah.
Most of my school friends went to university in Townsville, but I wanted to make a completely fresh start.
Big move.
It was a big move, particularly when you're moving from an all-boys boarding school to living on campus at a co-educational college.
Yeah.
So a lot of distractions, of course, in turning 18.
Yep.
And perhaps lost my way a little bit in the first year, but I had to buckle down and made sure that I graduated within the 3 years. So I had to work really hard.
Yeah. And how'd you enjoy life in Toowoomba?
It was great.
Yeah.
You know, it was, a big country town. And at that time, not much bigger than Townsville, which was my nearest town, I guess, growing up.
Yeah.
But all the different people.
Yeah.
And different lifestyles and different beliefs all coming together in university. And, in a really interesting environment.
Yeah, it's such a different place now. It's grown a heap. I've still got family in Toowoomba, and it's going up there and just seeing how big it is from when I was a kid there is crazy.
But if anything, I guess it opened my eyes to the world is much bigger than the little microism that I grew up in.
Then how did you meet Pauline?
I met Pauline when I returned from Papua New Guinea.
Oh, okay.
And I'd been living overseas for a number of years, and I came back to Australia. My friends who lived in Brisbane had all moved away, so I found myself going back, looking into the newspapers for a share accommodation options, and moved in with 2 wonderful girls. And one of them was very good friends with Pauline.
Right.
And I met her one night at a house party that we were hosting.
Yeah.
And I guess sparks flew from there. I knew that when she walked through the door, I thought she's not a bad looking sort. And gradually just I was speaking to her during the course of the night, and one thing led to another, and I built up the courage to ask her out for a coffee.
Yeah, nice.
And here we are. Many years later with 2 kids.
Yeah. No, you've done exceptionally well.
the old school version of dating.
It was. It absolutely was. Though
Meeting through a friend.
it's exactly right. And this was also at that time when there were dating sites were becoming more and more prominent on the internet. But I just couldn't bring myself to try that. I like the old school way.
Oh, well, I reckon you've done it right the old school way, mate. You mentioned Papua New Guinea. We can't go past that. Tell us that obviously that's part of your your employment journey and your post army, which again we haven't touched on yet. But maybe we'll go back to your discharge of the army and what you were doing there, and then how you ended up in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, sure. So I got accepted into a special program that the Australian Army was running. It was called the First Appointment Course.
Yep.
And it was a short course intended for individuals who would lead the defence of Australia in the event that it was invaded.
Yep.
So they would be positioned around remote northern Australia. This course focused on the same training that the company commanders experienced who went to Vietnam. So you're basically trained in all facets of modern warfare and being able to call in military assets of any kind.
Yep.
So it was a 12-month course, and before that you did a couple of months at Kapooka basic training.
Yep.
So Kapooka, then Duntroon, fast-track course. And for me was a phenomenal learning about myself.
Yep.
Specifically understanding what my limits were physically, mentally and emotionally, and then having an understanding that you can actually push through those boundaries.
Yeah, okay.
So that was the great takeout that I had from that experience. I was medically discharged 2 weeks before graduation. I was running up a flight of stairs and busted my ankle and was unable to perform the last piece of assessment, which was a 100-kilometre route march. And because of that, I was unable to graduate. They did give me the option of staying in the army, but I would never be in anything else other than an administrative role.
Yeah,
and at that time, I was a trained infantry commander.
Yeah.
So sitting behind a desk was not something that I envisaged.
That's devastating.
Well, it was. However, I'm one of these believers of fate.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why that happened.
Yeah.
And the reason is today I have my partner Pauline and my kids.
Yeah.
Had I not injured myself,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here today.
Wouldn't gone down a different path.
Yeah.
No, it's obviously the experience you got out of the army was one of mental toughness and resilience, and you always take that with you. It's like your time on the farm, and
That's exactly right.
There's something you get out of every element of life, isn't there? That
That's exactly
you're
right.
going to take on to the next one, and so many things to bounce around, mate. You've done plenty, and between that and then ending up in your path professionally, and then with Pauline and the kids. The journey to Papua New Guinea, that's an interesting one. How did that come about?
So this happened shortly after I was discharged from the army, and it was around that time that Mum was diagnosed.
Yep.
So I think there was a little bit of maybe running away,
right,
from the issue that had come to hand.
Yep.
But I think also there was another element of, well, what can I do to help? And I was never going to be smart enough to become a doctor to find a cure for cancer. So that's when I really started to focus on this desire to help other people. So in moving to Papua New Guinea, my role was to actually work for a company whose function was to set up distribution systems through remote Papua New Guinea and Indonesia to deliver aid equipment to isolated communities. So the way that I describe it to people is you could imagine jumping in a single engine Cessna, flying for about 4 hours out of Port Moresby to land on a mountaintop that had been cleared by hand, where there'd be a guide waiting for you, and then they'd take you through the jungle for 2 days to get to a canoe and to go down a river for another 2 days. And you would ultimately get to a village where the kids would come up to you and they'd rub your hand like this,
Yeah.
trying to get the white off you.
Oh, really?
So these are villagers who hadn't seen a white man since the Second World War.
Far out.
So there was a lot of satisfaction, I guess, from being able to set up this distribution system
Yeah.
so that these kids could get medical supplies, education kits, so that they could live a better life.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's a bit of an extreme from wanting to find a cure for cancer
Yeah.
to one of, well, what can I do to help people?
Yeah. Oh, unbelievable journey. Unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
So how many years were you in Papua New Guinea for?
I was based in Port Moresby for 2.5 years,
Yeah.
but travelled a lot through Indonesia, Solomon Islands, and to a lesser extent Fiji.
Yeah.
But effectively setting up these distribution systems.
Yeah. And was that would have been just before the unrest in the Solomons or just...
Well, the official unrest of the Solomons? Yes, it was. It was also around about that time where there was unrest in East Timor.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I found myself in those environments.
Weaving between problems, spot fires.
Yeah.
Far out. Yeah, crazy experience, mate.
Yeah, well, fun experience and very learned.
Yeah, brilliant. You've still got connection in Papua New Guinea?
I do. I actually have had an adopted brother, who passed away a couple of months ago.
Yep.
He went to the same boarding school as I did. His father went to boarding school with my father, both at the same school. And unfortunately, he passed away a couple of months ago. He's married to a lovely woman, has got some beautiful kids, two of which I'm affectionately known as Uncle.
Yeah, nice.
And his wife is my sister.
Yeah.
And I do keep in regular contact with her now.
Yeah.
So I still maintain that connection with Papua New Guinea. One day I'll take the kids and Pauline there.
Yeah, brilliant. To do the trek as well, do you think?
Yes, there is the Kokoda Trail. There are so many facets of Papua New Guinea that we are all missing out on.
Beyond the trek. Yeah.
It is a country of 800 different dialects.
Yeah.
And so diverse.
Yeah. I've had the awesome experience of doing the trek. It's a fascinating place, even just going through Moresby and then through the villages along the trek. But you're right, doing a bit more research into some of the other treks and then some of the other experiences and probably some of the hazards as well to try to avoid along the way. But the politics, the demographic, the breakup and the villages, it's a dynamic place, but beautiful country.
And beautiful people who will do anything for you.
Yeah. Well, they did a hell of a lot for us, that's for sure, certainly back in World War II, and we still owe a lot to them.
We do.
Hats off to you, mate, for doing that and doing what you did to support them. Obviously your journey continued along with the logistics and the cause for your mother, and again that was again a great motivation. Having met Pauline, 2 beautiful children come along. What do you love most about being a dad?
Oh, I think the opportunity of being a dad is what I love the most. Being able to sit down with my kids at the end of the day and hear their stories, good or bad.
Yep.
Where your first response to the question, so how was your day? Good. I love being able to pull those layers across to find out exactly what was so good about the day.
Yeah. When do you find the best time to do that is?
Probably about 30 minutes before bed.
Yep.
Because if I think of my daughter at the moment, everything is about the block. She wants to become an architect or a landscape architect.
Yep.
So no talking during the block at all.
Yep.
But I think with her and both her and my son, it's that half hour before bed when things are starting to settle down.
Yep.
Where I find it's easier for them to talk more openly.
Yeah. They're a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think when they get home from school, it's just I'm tired and hungry and I've got
Yeah.
to do my homework. Don't talk to me, please, Dad.
Well, you kind of, like, I often feel like that when I get home from work.
Yeah.
It's trying to find that gap between work
Yep.
and then getting home and being able to be present. And you forget they're doing the same thing sometimes. And you're at them. Oh, how was your day? Well, what happened? Oh, nothing. Well, if you then find the more you push, the more resistant they are.
Yes, there's no point in posing the Spanish Inquisition at that time to get to the underlining challenges of the day from them. It's accept the good, and then wait.
Who's the best talker at the moment, do you reckon? There's a couple of year age gap, and obviously Ethan being younger. But who's the best talker at the moment? Who's the most engaging?
I think it's a depends on the time of day.
Yep.
If it's at dinner, because we as a family we always sit down and have dinner together.
Yep.
My daughter is the most prominent in leading the discussion on the table.
Excellent.
And then as the evening progresses and the later it gets, that's when I get some of the really good conversation out of my son.
What do you think the most surprising thing is that you've heard from that they've said that you've gone, oh, geez, I wasn't expecting that?
Yeah, and I'm finding this increasingly every day now that both of them will just come out with things that completely blow my mind. They are both intelligent in their own way.
Yeah.
And I am learning every day that it is worth listening to them.
Yeah.
So there's probably not one particular moment or one particular thing that's said to me. It's more of, geez, these kids have got some good things to say.
Yeah.
And, there are the challenging conversations as well where I wish that they wouldn't continue their conversation. But, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah. I find it the most rewarding when I actually remind myself to stop and listen to them and hear what they're saying through their mind. As in, like, put yourself, try to imagine what it's like to be 12 as opposed to 46 or 14 as opposed to 46. And you go, I would be approaching it very differently.
Yeah.
Stop trying to teach them stuff. Stop trying to,
That's right.
Just let them throw it out there and then hear how they think they can solve the problem. Don't solve it for them. And it's like, that's that little reset moment.
That's
reckon.
exactly right. And it's actually something that I've learned through management and leadership training, through the experiences that I've had, and particularly in the last 15 years, 20 years, working for organisations that promote, self-development.
Yep.
What I've learned is a couple of things you've just mentioned. You've got to listen.
Yep.
You got to learn.
Yep.
And you got to liberate.
Yep.
They're the three critical things to being a good leader. And it's no different to the home.
Yep.
You need to listen not only to the words that our kids are saying, but how they're saying it and what's the emotion behind that.
They're exposed to so much more information now, and it's so accessible and far more than what we had. Like, you weren't YouTubing how to fix a fence.
No, I tried to explain to my kids that when I went to the library, you're going through library cards to find the topic that you were looking for.
Yeah, and often got in trouble for putting them back in the wrong spot.
That's right.
But it is. I feel like I learn so much from them when I actually take the time to stop and listen. And we sort of had a bit of a motto going at work, and I think it applies to even the kids. Is at the moment, big paddocks, strong fences. Wide paddocks, strong fences. Give them room to grow and move. It's the same sort of thing that I've learned through my leadership roles through work, and is empower people and trust people. It's like with the kids. Give them room to grow, make mistakes, hit the fence. You're the support.
Yep.
Push them back in the paddock and help them get on with it. So,
and as long as they know that making mistakes is okay.
Yeah. And without doubt, we make them as well as parents, and they'll make more. But probably leads me into the next one. What do you reckon your best or worst dad fails been? We can all talk about how great we've been, and but
I
there's
think
moments.
My greatest dad fail has been my greatest dad learning.
Yeah.
And it was my son's, he was arranging his birthday party.
Yeah.
And I was trying to influence who and who should not be coming in an amicable way without being direct. And it was particularly upsetting to him.
Right.
About how I was suggesting and perhaps pushing that certain people attend and others don't. And he became particularly upset. And at that time, I felt like an absolute failure.
Yeah.
That I had driven him to the extent that he was morbidly upset.
Wow.
So now the learning is I will let him find his way.
Yep.
I'll be that tugboat that pushes the oil tanker in the right kind of direction, but ultimately now the decision rests with him.
Yep. No, that's a great lesson, and I'm glad you didn't mention the time that the pair of them decided to go walkabout one morning and in their pajamas.
Well, I think that was more of a learning for them.
Yeah, I think so. It was my son leading yours on a blind sort of a mindless wander down the street and heading off to the park and being a little bit independent at the.
But it was a great learning for both of them.
Yeah.
Like for my son, he wasn't going to let your son go on his own.
Yeah, great loyalty, great commitment,
and perhaps the better option was to come back and get us, but instead we continued.
Yeah, no, they both learned a valuable lesson that day, and I think so did I. I've never ridden a bike so fast around so many streets, but
and I think your son learnt that I can use some pretty colourful language.
Yep. No, good on them. They were heading off to the park and checking to see if the lolly shop was open, and demonstrating a little bit of independence, but probably just a little bit too premature in their life journey, if we can say that. Good fun. Let's touch on basketball.
Yep.
And I was going to ask, how do you involve yourself in your kids' lives?
Yep.
But I know enough about you to know what that is. The president of the Stars, how did that come about?
President of the Stars Basketball Club. Oh, look, it started 7 years ago when my son decided he wanted to play basketball.
Yeah.
And after the first training session, I was collared into being the team manager. So I had never played and still have never played a game of basketball in my life, though having a strong upbringing in rugby league, I understand the concept of teamwork, working together and winning. So I followed my son's journey, and then my daughter became part of the same basketball club and continues to this day. I found myself wanting something more in life. Had a family, had a great job, great friends. But what I was lacking was this community focus of what can I do to leave a positive impression on other people, not just on my kids, but on the wider community. So my activity with the Stars Basketball Club became a little bit more focused. So I joined the committee, just as a general committee member, helping out. I then at the same time started to coach basketball as well. Did accreditation in basketball coaching, and then started to take on a more active role in helping kids develop their skill set in basketball. I think what was still missing for me though was, what can we do more for these kids and our community through the club? So I put my hand up to be president of the club, unopposed.
Well orchestrated.
I think it was a matter of everyone took a step back and I was still standing on the line. So I was the only person left. So that was 2 years ago now. And one of the first drivers I had was we were losing talented players to other clubs. And it was because, we didn't have a philosophy of driving performance.
Okay.
So what I then undertook was a complete rebranding of the club because we were closely affiliated with a local primary school. It was a Catholic primary school, and we were missing out on particular cohorts of kids who wouldn't join a Catholic school basketball club. So our new branding is just the Stars Basketball Club, and started a campaign of going around to the schools in the local community,
Yeah, right.
to their general assemblies, promoting the Stars. And that's evolved more and more where we now not only have a club which is attracting players to us, backed by our coaching staff who are all formally qualified now. So we specifically put all of our coaches through coaching clinics and accreditation with Basketball Victoria. Plus, we get our older players and we promote them into junior coaching roles, so to give them a leadership development opportunity.
Yeah, awesome.
We're now facing more into the community where we are taking on adult players, so we're part of the adult competition now as well, and actively engaging with the community to get sponsorship donations so that we can run nutrition clinics for our athletes and their parents, and also mental health clinics.
Yeah, wow.
So it's going beyond basketball and becoming something which brings value to the community.
Far out. That's a big step, away from just not away from, but only just having an influence over your own kids and not being part of your kids' lives. But that's a massive reach.
Yeah, I see it as an extension though, because what I'm trying to do is also set an example for my kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it could be that, yes, I can just stay at home with you or do our homework or play some board games together.
Yeah.
But now what you're seeing is your dad working with the community to make things better for your friends.
Yeah.
To make our community a better place to live in.
Yeah. So you've attracted not only, people that play basketball, kids that play basketball to your club, but without doubt, you've encouraged kids to take up basketball that probably weren't.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So by going around to the schools, the intention was to get members in.
Yeah.
We're not going to be a very large club.
Yeah.
When I started, we had 18 teams. Next season, we're going to have 26.
Yeah, awesome.
That's probably our limit.
Yeah.
So we've retained our older players and we've retained girls.
Yeah.
So our club is now 60% female.
That's awesome.
So that's the other example I'm wanting to demonstrate to my kids is this philosophy of equality.
Yeah.
The rest of the Basketball Association, the average is 35%.
Far out.
That are female.
Mate, that's unbelievable, making a huge difference. Sport, I've spoken about it on a couple of other podcasts, but kids in sport so important.
It is. There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
In playing sport, being part of a team, and you don't need to be the best.
No.
For it to be an impact on you or others.
Yeah.
It's I look at my sons. Actually, I look at my daughter's team, and they've been playing together since under 12s.
Yep.
They finished at the top of Division 1 for under 16 girls. They did lose the grand final by 1 point.
Yep.
Though there's only 2 rep players in that team, where if you look at all the other under 16 Division 1 teams, they're loaded with reps.
Yeah.
So this team has been together since under 12s. They're good friends.
Yeah,
they didn't come from the same primary school. They're from 5 different high schools.
Yeah, okay.
So this is what we're trying to show at the club is that we are looking to develop friendships that go beyond the schoolyard.
Your normal circles. Yeah,
Correct.
That's great.
Correct. And that's how you build community.
Yeah, I remember you saying the other day your daughter's team that she coaches came to watch her play as well.
That's right. So my daughter coaches an under 10s girls team and they turned up to cheer her on in the grand final. And whilst I was disappointed that they lost the game, that was one of the highlights to me, was that these young girls turned up to watch the older girls play. That and the fact that, and she'll get embarrassed by this, my daughter was landing 3-pointers, and it was the first time consecutively in a game that she was able to achieve it.
Hitting threes, brilliant.
Yep.
The performance and competition's important as well, and to hear you talk about bringing that in terms of developing kids, and there's this, not everything's about winning, but by not winning, you're also learning a hell of a lot about losing, and we all lose more than we win.
Yep.
But having that extra support to develop and be competitive is important to help kids stay in sport. Find it, there was times when you're a part of a team where you're just getting flogged.
Yep.
Like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yep, exactly.
So I think by you encouraging, performance and improvement and a desire to get better is helping keep kids engaged.
Correct. I mean, we will always be a community club.
Yep.
That's our focus. But if we have kids that show talent, then we will open avenues for them to continue developing. That includes things like playing up an age, and we will make that happen for them.
Yeah.
We've engaged with a third-party performance coach who is going to take members through additional performance training. So we will be a club, we will be a community club, first and foremost.
Yeah. But
we're going to start really developing people, developing athletes so that they can become better if they choose to.
Yeah. Good on you, mate. Hats off to you. I know a lot of parents, often, you hear the grizzling about I've got to drive around. It's a time commitment, a massive time commitment that parents make now to get their kids to sport. But to not only just, you get to be part of your kids' sporting experience within their own teams, but what you're doing to create the opportunity for so many others is a significant contribution to the community, and you should be commended for that. So well done, mate.
Yeah,
huge effort. So
thank you. I do have a very strong committee behind me as well. So
good.
It's a volunteer sport, and the committee that we have are very passionate. They're very aligned.
Yeah.
Have the same kind of aspirations, and that makes it a lot easier.
Oh, I think you've done well because they can become. I know that sometimes that's the thing that is off-putting. If you're looking to get yourself involved in a club and you find that the politics is, sometimes you just think, I don't want to have to juggle these challenges outside of my working environment, let alone not to say that my working environment is like that, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes you just think I've only got so much headspace.
That's right.
So it's good that you've got one that's functioning well. So I think that's again a credit to you and your committee. So good on you, mate. Do we need to touch on your efforts in terms of having a crack at training one night and how that played out? I know it was we'll probably put that in the epic fail moment in terms of your body letting you down.
Look, it was, but it was a failure, but
a failure. I shouldn't use the word failure.
So the situation was I used to coach a group of boys, and then they moved up an age and to an age where I made the decision that they needed a different coach to take them to that next level. Because as I mentioned to you, I've never played basketball before, so my focus is under 8s and under 10s. Teaching them what it means to be part of a team and how to dribble a ball. Very important groundwork. In this particular instance, the boys had moved up. They weren't performing very well. They weren't gelling as a team. So I asked the coach if I could take them for 10 minutes. And I lectured them very strongly about how their parents are paying money for them to be part of this club and that they perhaps should work together and perform as a team. I then made them stand on the baseline and said, right, we're going to be doing suicide runs. And for those who are unaware, that's running up and down the court.
The old shuttle run.
That's the old shuttle run. And being the person that I am, I wasn't going to stand on the sideline and bark orders at them to do it. So they had to keep up with me.
Yeah, nice.
So after 8 laps, I was still leading the pack when my Achilles snapped. But
we laugh about it, but that was a big impact on your life, though.
It was for a good 12 months.
The commitment to the cause was,
wavered.
It was massive dedication.
But to their credit, that weekend the boys played their heart out. Because their coach made it very clear to them that Coach Darren was down, trying to get them to lift. And they lifted.
Yeah, good on you, mate. That's brilliant. And well done on your recovery too. Very disciplined.
I'm back into running now. So
well done. It's tough to do when you're carrying an injury in your.
It is.
We're not spring chickens.
No, but a lot of it I find is psychological. The body's fixed. It's now convincing the mind that nothing's wrong with you.
Yeah, tough to overcome.
It is. Well, as the surgeons say, it's the worst injury that you can have that that you have to recover from.
How do you trust your body?
Yeah.
No, well done on the basketball journey, mate. And like I said, you've even with the physical sacrifice, you're sacrificing. When I say sacrifice, you're committing time to dedicating yourself to not only your kids, but the community. So again, hats off to you on that. How do you find time to do things just for yourself, like that little moment that you away from basketball, work, and the kids, just that moment where you go, I need a time out. What do you do?
That's a really good question, because if you were to ask my partner that, if you ask Pauline, what does Darren do, she would probably say he doesn't sit down. I keep myself moving.
Yep.
But if I'm in that time where I want that mental break, it's in the garden.
Yep.
It's doing DIY stuff. And it's not necessarily just on my own. If I can include the kids or my family in that activity, that makes it even better.
Yeah.
Last Easter, the kids and I made our very first planter box.
Yeah.
And we did it together. It was a good mental release for me, and it was a great education for them. I had them on the tools.
Yeah.
They were doing the measurements and the calculations, checking my mistakes, picking up on my mistakes. But yeah, I think it's in the garden. It's DIY. That's where that's my quiet space.
Yeah, and I must say you do a great job with it too, because your garden's awesome. Your backyard is a pretty special place, mate. So I can see you do give it a lot of attention, and the planter boxes are a quality product as well. So we've had a look at those, and you've done a great job. But mate, keep coming back, like a man who really doesn't chase that time. Like, you're so committed to your kids and your family, and again, it's a special thing.
Yeah, I think, and I can't put my finger on exactly what the trigger is, but I think it's involving my kids as much as I can, involving my family as much as I can in what I do.
Yeah.
And if I'm setting a positive example to them, then I think I'm winning.
Yep. No, well done. There's one thing that listeners can take away from you today. What would it be?
I'll go back to the management philosophy.
Yep.
Because I'm finding it works at home.
Yep.
And that's the listen, learn, liberate. Listen to your kids, listen to your partner, hear what they say and how they say it. You're not only understanding the situation, but you're allowing them the opportunity to have the confidence to tell you something's wrong. Learning from your kids, where you may not necessarily have the answer straight away, is okay. But never stop learning, even if it's not with your family. Like next week, I'm going to start an AI course.
Yep.
Because I just think it's important to know.
Yeah.
So it's also about learning about yourself and learning about what you need to know, what's going on in the world. And then the liberate piece is modeling your kids, letting them make mistakes, and just being there as a guide, not telling them what to do.
Yeah.
Just providing advice.
Yep. Let them work it out a little bit for
and
themselves.
then they'll fly themselves.
Yeah. Great takeaway, mate. Great advice. It's very obvious to see how the influence from your parents and your experience growing up in North Queensland and on the farm has flowed right through your whole life, and is obviously having a huge influence on your family now and your kids and the broader community. Love what your dad's doing. He's a dedicated man, and I can see that level of dedication's come through in you. It's an honour to be your mate. It's an absolute pleasure to share, the dad experience with you through our kids. And I'm so grateful for you coming on, mate, and I've really enjoyed the chat.
It's been great. Thanks, Brendan, and keep it up.
Cheers, mate.
This is fantastic.
Excellent. Thanks, mate.
I'm Brendan Smith, and welcome to the Dad Having a Crack podcast, for everyday, relatable dads giving life a red-hot go. This podcast dives into honest conversations with real blokes, juggling the highs and lows of life, fatherhood, work, and everything in between. We chat about family, fitness, hobbies, passions, mental health, and those moments we don't always want to talk about. From epic fails to unexpected wins. No filters, just everyday dads sharing stories, swapping laughs, and reminding each other that having a crack is what it's all about.